Okay, everybody, welcome back. So, we are going to move on to doing some more sculpting. This part, we're going to start to block in some of the big shapes, which would be the eyes. We're going to put in the mouth, and we'll start to block in the nose a little bit. Okay, first things first, we are going to go back over here to the left and go back to object mode. And we are going to the right side here in the outliner, this part over here. And we're going to select O3 head blockout join. And we're going to duplicate that collection. All right. And then we'll hide what we duplicated it from. And we're going to change this to Sculpt. So 4. And we're going to do Sculpt. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to block in the eye shape, the eye sockets. So I think it's best to do that from the orthographic view. So right over here on the upper right, I clicked on the X view. So we got it nicely centered, no distortion. And we're going to have the head selected. Object mode, we're going to select sculpt mode. All right, we've got the brush here. I have it set on the mirror or symmetry. And so whatever I make here, it'll do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're going to use the draw brush at the very top. Click on that. And I'm going to show you the controls for the tool. So it should be up towards the top on the tab lists here on the right. Okay. And you'll see tool, and you can select if you're in sculpt mode and stuff, the brushes will come up and gives you all this fine control. So right now what we want to do is we want to push in to the actual geometry to create the eyes. So make sure you've saved your file. And in order to, right now, if we do, it's going to bring the geometry out. It's going to add. So I'm going to hit Control Z, where you can go up here to edit, undo. And what we want to do is we want to push in. So we want to hold in the control key on the bottom left-hand corner of your keyboard. That's on a Windows computer. Okay, and what it does is it pushes the geometry in instead. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. I'm going to make sure I have it where I want it, which is right here. And I'm just going to start pushing in. I like generally where this is. Make it a little bigger. Okay. There. All right. Now, let's see how that looks from different angles. It seems to look pretty good. Okay. So before we move on, let's just be sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a sphere for the eyeball just to block it in and see how well it's fitting in there and see how it looks. So we go back up to sculpt mode, go back up to object mode, and we're going to go over here, the upper left here, to add mesh, and we're going to pick a UV sphere. Okay, there we go. It's a little big, so what we'll do is first we'll want to select the S key, and I'm just going to push in and then going to shrink it down. It's roughly that size. Then I'm going to move over to the Y up here in the upper right, the Y viewport direction. And I'm going to switch over here from the left to the move tool. And we're just going to move this up, basically where we would want it from the side. And then I'm going to go back to the X viewport direction, and I'm just going to slide it over here. Just try to see how it fits. Okay. And what you can do is you can right click on the sphere and go shade smooth, and it gives you a shade. It smooths the sphere out so you don't have to worry about that distracting geometry. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the rotation mode over here on the left. I'm going to hold the control key in the bottom left hand corner of your keyboard, and I'm going to select in global mode. Make sure you're in global mode. I'm going to select this green circle, and I'm going to rotate the sphere. Now as I'm doing that, see how we have these little ticks? When you hold the control key, that keeps it rounded up to a number, not a decimal. And if you look up in your upper left hand corner, you'll see it says rotation. Right now mine says 25 on the global, so what I want is 90. So I'm going to do 90. And that's essentially for later. So we just moved the eye, rotated it 90 degrees. And the reason why is that'll make it easier for us when we're putting in the pupil and the iris for the eye, to use the geometry that's built into the sphere. All right. So let's see. Sometimes you have to kind of play around with the shape, the size of the sphere a little bit. But I always keep it a sphere. So looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Let's see. Yeah. We're going to end up putting in an eyelid here, so you don't have to worry about this part. And if you want to see how it looks together, we can go back to our little trick here. Go to add modifier. Go down to the mirror modifier. Make sure it's on Y. Unclick X. Use the eyedropper. Select the head. And there you go. Makes things a lot easier, a lot faster. And what you have now is you've just created 2 eyeball sockets and 2 eyeballs for your character. So far that's looking pretty good. All right. So now that we've done that, just to keep it organized, I'm going to go into the outliner up here in the upper right. I'm going to select the sphere. I double clicked on it to highlight the text, and I'm just going to put eyeball. just so I know what it is. Okay, you can do the same with the cube. You can go ahead. There you go. Okay, so now that we've put the socket in there, now we're going to put in the mouth. Okay, so make sure the head's selected. Go back to object mode, select sculpt mode. Now we're going to use a different tool. We're going to come down here to the crease tool. Okay, you're going to select that. And what the crease tool does is it actually creates more of a pinched. It'll raise things up or it'll push things down, but it'll pinch things together, and that'll help us shape the mouth. One of the things we want to do is first we want to make sure the radius is down a bit. I'm going to do it probably 65. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I still have the symmetry or mirror controls on at Y. And we're going to go over to right up here. To the right of the brush controls, you're going to see stroke right up here. So I'm going to click on it, and you're going to see stabilize stroke. And what that does is it allows you to make much straighter lines, especially when you have a mouse. It really helps you to be able to do like cleaner, very nice, very clean lines as opposed to with it off. So just click, put that check mark on, and you'll know it's on because there'll be a little line that drags behind it. Okay, so I'm using the little mouse wheel to come in close, and right up here I'm using this little hand, which is basically allows me to kind of move things around in the viewport because I want to get in close, and I want to get to the center. So we're pretty close right there. I want it a little lower down, and we're gonna hold the control key at the bottom left hand corner of your keyboard, and that'll push it in, but it'll also crease it. And watch, you'll see. So you want to get it close to where you want it. I want it a little bit lower. And you use your left button, and we're going to pull it across. And see, it's starting to push in. And if you keep going back over it, it'll go deeper and deeper. See? See the line behind it? That stabilizes it and makes it a cleaner line. And you do it again. There you go. See, I'd kind of turn it up a little bit, kind of get it to blend in a little bit with the shape and contour. All right, let's look at that from a different angle. So you can see you started to put in a mouth. Now, if you don't like that, you can change that. That's the beauty of working with digital tools. You can go undo. So you can go up here to edit, the upper left, and go undo. Or you can just do Control Z. I want it a little bit lower than this. There you go. All right, gotta do it again. So I think when I'm doing it, I'm going to bring it over, dip a little bit down, and then up and curl. See, it makes it a little more interesting. Straight lines are kind of boring. See how that makes it more interesting? Yeah. And then I'm just going to go back over it. Yeah, there we go. Turn it up. There we go. It's getting there. See? More interesting. And we can make some adjustments with when we do some overall adjustments with some more of the sculpting tools. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that feels better. See, we got it. So you definitely have more of a distinct upper part, which is the nose and the upper mouth, and then you have the lower mouth. So we can push that in a little bit more. Now I know the tendency is that sometimes people want to go, oh, I'm going to smooth that out. And I'm going to say, don't smooth that out yet. Because right now, the geometry's been pushed and distorted a bit, so it won't look as good. So what we do is, after we've made these bulk changes, these big sculptural changes, then you remesh again, and it'll actually add more geometry there. And then you go back over, and then you smooth things out. And you don't lose as much detail, and it looks cleaner. Okay. There, nice. Okay, that's a good start. All right, so we put in the eyes. We put in the mouth. Now let's do the nostrils, the nose. He's got to have something to smell with, right? So with that, we are going to go back to our buddy, the draw tool up at the top, upper left corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably turn it down under the strength. It's at right now at 0.5. That's what I put it at before. I think I'm going to put it down to 0.3. Okay. Oops. Let me go back. And I'm going to make the radius smaller. 0.3. And I'm just thinking I'm going to go right here. You usually want the nostrils inside of the eyes. You don't want to pass the eyes, but it depends. Sometimes if you're really doing something very stylized, you can kind of play around with it. So I think right here is good. And then I'm just going to hold the left mouse button down. Oop. Wanted to do it the other way. So I'm going to hold the control button and hold the left mouse button down. And there we go. We're starting to make these little nose indentations. That feels pretty good. And then I want to just come out just a little bit, right? A little bit like the way dogs' noses are. It has that the main hole or nostril, and then it has that little crevice that goes with it. There we go. Just kind of putting it in there. Okay. It just makes it a little more interesting. And it's a little jagged, but that's okay. We're going to add more detail to it later. All right, so we've blocked that in. It's a good start. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in these eyelids. And the cool thing is we're just going to use the eyes that we created to put those in. So I'll see you there in the next chapter.